UPSC is not going to ask 250 mark questions on the scholars. Scholars is just one part.
Paper 2 is very dynamic and we need to keep ourselves updated about this entire process in a very regular fashion.
This is the most challenging aspect of our preparation. It's easy to acquire knowledge. It's difficult to compile that knowledge in that particular time period.
So can you explain a little more about the tests that we at RAU'S IAS run for the optional subject of political science and IR?
Because average out, we are seeing everyone is scoring near about the same in GS. Until unless you score well above average in optional, you will not able to get the interview call. So one cannot skip from this particular activity.
Hello and welcome to UPSC Preparation Simplified, an initiative by RAU'S IAS Study Circle where we try to solve the problems that you aspirants might be facing while preparing for the UPSC examination. Today, our guest is Mr. Rahul Puri and we are going to talk about the optional political science. Now, we can definitely vouch for the credentials of Rahul Puri. He's one of the best teachers that we have seen in the recent past, and the way he handles his queries, actually he's going to help you in understanding the requirement of the political science subject in a very nice manner. So, sir, welcome on board.
Thank you, sir.
So, sir, a lot of students want to take political science as an optional, but still there are some kind of problems that they face. The first problem that we have normally seen is that students think that the political theory and the concepts of political thinkers are actually very difficult to grasp. Now, in such a situation, how do you help these students to gain mastery over these topics?
Sir, first thing, the word you have used, mastery. So this is normally the misnomer which students somehow, when they enter into UPSC preparation, they think that they have to master the subject. Rather than mastery over the subject, here you need to master the art of scoring more in UPSC. So there's a difference the way you prepare pol science during your college days. We do not have to prepare here from academic point of view. If I have to quote this by example, like we don't have to read the book of Hobbes, that is Levanthian, or we don't have to read the book of the Machiavelli, that is Prince. So here you do not have to go in such depths. Here you need to prepare these scholars from UPSC point of view, and this is where the difference lies. And normally students got carried away too deep about that. They think that they have to prepare too deep and they have to acquire mastery over the things being said by the philosophers. It is just one part of the syllabus, and here we have to prepare from UPSC point of view. That exactly what UPSC is asking. So first thing is this, that we do not have to dig too deep into the scholars, and scholars will not, UPSC will not going to ask 250 mark questions on the scholars. Scholars is just one part. Yes, if you understand the ideas given by scholars, if you have a good clarity about the ideas given by scholars, this will help you to understand the other dimensions of political science as an optional. But the thing is, first thing, students can relax and they can breathe easy, that it is not about digging too deep in the philosophers and their thought. Second thing is that understanding these philosophers requires the clarity of few basic concepts.
Okay.
Like when we say political science, the roots of political science lies in philosophy. Now, what is philosophy? These things, first student needs to understand what is philosophy. What is the difference between philosophy, theory, ideology and thought? With the clarity of these basic concepts itself, student can have a very good understanding about the scholars and the philosophers.
Wonderful, sir. Now, paper 1 is something which actually poses challenge, and there is one thing which is there in the mind of the students, that paper 2 is very dynamic and we need to keep ourselves updated about this entire process in a very regular fashion. So the quantum of the work that they visualize is actually very high. So what is the truth behind this? Is paper very dynamic and is difficult to prepare as well?
So yes, sir. As you said, that paper 2 is too dynamic. So first thing, students need to understand what we mean by what we mean by this. That if the nature of the syllabus is dynamic, normally students they consider it as a challenging aspect of the preparation. Oh, it is too dynamic. First thing students need to understand, dynamic does not mean that the basic concepts will change. Concept of power will not change. Concept of deterrence will not change. Theories of IR in paper 2 will not change. Liberalism, idealism, realism, concepts will remain same. The views of the scholars will remain same. When we are saying dynamic, students need to understand dynamics about the world dynamics. Yes, they can change because the interests of the states can change and there are no objective interest. And how dynamics change, I'll just try to tell it with an example. Dynamics about quad has changed. Earlier when quad was when India was looking forward to join Quad, India was looking it as an economic alliance. But since Galwan, dynamics changed, and now we are looking it as a military alliance, because when we allowed Australia to be a part of military, to be a part of Malabar military exercise. So this much dynamicity, yes, it is asserted, but student needs to understand this, that if students will understand these aspects, student can score more.
Definitely.
So this is what we mean by being dynamic. Dynamic does not mean that the whole syllabus will change, the content which student is having, or the notes which student has made in last 1 year, every aspect of the notes will change. Everything will remain same. Only there will be an incremental updation students have to do. For example, US decided to withdraw from Afghanistan. Now the history of Afghan dynamics will not change, or the phases of Indo-Pakistan will not change. Yes, new updates can be there, and student needs to prepare psir considering the present updates which are going on in the world politics. This is what we mean by being dynamic.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the simplicity. Now, the next important aspect that we have seen, especially in the papers, paper 1 and paper 2, there are some topics which are part of paper 1 as well as part 2. For example, like democracy, maybe rights as well, globalization, which is also part of paper 1 and paper 2. Now, when we study these topics at two different places, is there any requirement in terms of change of approach as well, or is it the same thing?
This is the beauty of this paper, I'll say. That there's a lot of connections in paper 1 and paper 2. You read theories in paper 1. Theory of democracy, you are reading in paper 1. Implementation, what is the present scenario? Is democracy strengthening world over, or there is a delusion in democracy, or there is a rise of right wing in the world politics, or democracy is becoming too noisy. So these aspects we do in paper 2. Like recently a World Democracy Summit by the US, where 100 odd countries attended the summit. Now, according to China, this is just a sham, and the real democracy is a China, which is a communist state. It's a debate. We can have these debates later. But the present scenario of democracy, whether the liberal world order is strengthening or there is a dilution in the liberal world order, all these aspects will come in paper 2. Yes, the static part about democracy, theories of democracy, deliberative democracy, participative democracy, all these things will come in paper 1. So this is the difference. Top information about rights, theories of rights you do in paper 1, and human rights, humanitarian responsibilities, what is the present context, what are the debates going on these aspects, all these things will come in paper 2.
Okay. Now, when we talk about the UPSC examination per se, the optional subject, there's an aspect of knowledge, and all of us are working on that. But at the same time, the requirement of the examination is to write those beautiful ideas into great answers, and for this we require a lot of customization as well, because there is word limit, there are other restrictions as well, requirement of the question. So what is the right way to handle, and how you help the students to actually gain to that level?
This is the most challenging aspect of our preparation. It's easy to acquire knowledge, it's difficult to compile that knowledge in that particular time period. This is the most challenging aspect of the preparation. If someone is dreaming to become an IAS, have to acquire these answer writing skills. Normally being ignored in the earlier days of the preparation, but students have to work on these skills. Students have to acquire these skills. It is not like this you will inculcate by itself. You have to work on this. So for this, first thing, you have to work on this continuously during the classes. I keep giving the questions to the students. They write. They get the timely feedback. That's how they improve. And this students will realize with time, despite having tons of information in the mind, having information will not be an issue in the later stages of the preparation. Issue will be how to write about that particular issue in those 6 minutes. Let's say topic about critically analyze UN. So every student will have a lot of information about the UN. But the thing is, critically analysis in those 6 minutes, with command over language, with good structure of the answer, all this becomes too challenging in the examination hall. Or what are the major challenges in front of India's foreign policy? One student will be able to remember 3, another will be able to write 7 or 8 with good examples. So these aspects students have to learn with time, and there's a detail, and I have discussed there's a video of mine on YouTube where I have discussed how to approach answer writing for last year paper 2.
Yes, sir.
And soon I'm going to release the video for the paper 1 also after pre. So in that only, in that video in detail I have discussed how someone should work to improve the answer writing skills. Okay, so students can refer that particular.
So can you explain a little more about the tests that we at RAU'S IAS run for the optional subject of political science and IA?
Yes, sir. This is what I personally believe, that if you are not writing the test, if you are not trying to acquire the answer writing skills, whatever information you have about the subject is of no use, because in the end you are working this hard to get a rank in UPSC, so you can't ignore this aspect. So students should write religiously, and they should follow this activity in a regular manner. So what we do is, here in RAU'S, I take a test. I start a test series near about the completion of the syllabus, and I take 14 tests. 8 tests I take before pre, and 6 tests I take after prelims exam.
Okay.
8 tests will be like, every paper has 2 parts: paper 1 part A, paper 1 part B. So 2 tests of part A, 2 tests of paper 1 part B. Similarly, 4 tests for paper 2.
Yeah.
So these are the 8 tests which I take before pre-exam. And after pre, there will be 1 sectional test for part A, 1 for part B, 1 for paper 2 test for paper 2, and then 2 complete full length tests. Okay, this is how I have planned for the students, that they are class teaching is one aspect of the preparation. Having good notes is the other aspect of the preparation. First, you should have content with you. Without content, you can't write answers. Once you have contents, then giving good content and making students understand, making student having the understanding of the world, of the concepts, is my job. But once this job is being done, second thing is consolidation of the content. That is the job of the student, that they should first consolidate the things. Without having consolidation of the content, they can't frame answers. Third thing is writing answers and getting the timely feedback and test discussions. So this much things we have to do before we are thinking of our mains.
Wonderful, sir. I think conducting test after prelims, the full length test in terms of section wise, and then later the complete paper,
Yes.
is a very good way of revising the entire syllabus once again as well.
Yes, exactly.
So sir, I think so. This particular approach in which you conduct tests before prelims and after prelims test will be very handy in terms of revising everything once again in a very consolidated manner.
This is what I believe, and without this, it will be very difficult to score good marks in optional, and we all understand this. Unless you have good marks in optional, because average out we are seeing everyone is scoring near about the same in GS. Unless you score well above average in optional, you will not able to get the interview call. So one cannot skip from this particular activity.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing all your wisdom and knowledge. I hope that students have the clarity to handle political science and IR as an optional, and they will definitely be looking for more guidance, for which you will be guiding them soon through the live online session as well. So thank you, sir.
Best of luck to all the students.
Thank you. So this was Mr. Rahul Puri, and this is his approach in terms of how to handle political science and IR as an optional subject. I hope that you have liked this basic understanding of the subject, and it must have also, removed many doubts from your mind as well. Now, if you like our content, please do like it, please do share it, and do comment on our videos as well. This will actually help us and will also help your fellow students. Now, from the entire team of RAU'S IAS, we wish you all the very best. Stay tuned for more such videos.